The movie begins in the bustling city of New York, where we are introduced to a young, beautiful woman named Jeanette. She is having dinner with an important guest and her boyfriend, David. Jeanette seems firm and confident, effortlessly becoming the center of attention. After dinner, Jeanette asks the waiter to pack the leftovers, which creates a tense moment. In a world of excess, Jeanette clings to the small acts of survival she learned through life.
Could you box this up for me? And maybe yours too, if you're not gonna eat it?
David tries to lighten the mood by joking, but Jeanette firmly states that she's darn serious. The man is visibly impressed by her intelligence and asks about her family. David mentions they live in the countryside, and Jeanette adds that her mother is an artist and her father is an inventor.
My dad is an engineer.
Intrigued, the man suggests that Jeanette reach out to him if any of her father's inventions could benefit from financial backing.
Well, I haven't told them yet.
The dinner ends shortly after, and as they leave the restaurant, Jeanette tells David to let her handle any lies about her family in the future. He agrees without protest.
Bye.
On her way home, Jeanette's cab is blocked by a drunken man in the middle of the road. The man notices her and approaches the cab, making her feel uneasy. She finally arrives home and calls someone, possibly a brother, and mentions that she saw their father and mother on the roadside earlier but didn't stop to talk to them. She then drifts into a memory of her past.
Go outside and play with Brian and Laurie.
As a young girl, she often felt neglected. Her mother, Rosemary, was absorbed in her painting and rarely paid attention to her. That one day, Jeanette decides to cook sausages and accidentally sets her dress on fire.
How many do you want, Mom? 2, please.
Childhood shouldn't be about survival, but for some kids, even a simple act like making food becomes dangerous because no one is watching. And sometimes the scars aren't just on the skin, they're emotional. She screams for help and her mother rushes to her aid. For a moment, Rosemary's art took a backseat to the child she often forgot. Soon after, Jeanette is taken to the hospital to get her wounds bandaged. Shortly after, her parents arrive and the doctor notices that the other siblings also have injuries and seem somehow malnourished. The doctor, clearly puzzled, confronts her father Rex about the family's unstable living conditions that he so far have noticed. Thus, Rex becomes defensive and even talks arrogantly to the doctor.
Now, my family won't eat for 3 months so that you can drive a Cadillac.
He was shortly summoned outside by the woman to talk about the children's condition. Later, Rex devises a plan to sneak Jeanette out of the hospital. He enlists Brian, Jeanette's brother, to distract the nurses while he retrieves her. Rex's love was fierce, but his choices were always a double-edged sword. The family shortly drives away with Jeanette, who is still recovering from her burns. The family is nomadic, constantly moving from place to place. So even after running away, Rex drives to nowhere in specific. He talks about his dream of building a glass house for the family with glass ceilings so they can see the stars at
Can I
night.
have glass walls on a glass ceiling?
Of course.
Shortly after, Rosemary hands the children a book to read, but Jeanette mentions that the doctor said children should attend regular school. This angers Rex, who insists that life itself is the best teacher. To prove his point, he drives off the main road onto a bumpy path, giving the family a rough but exhilarating ride. Rex's lessons were always a mix of chaos and wonder, leaving the children breathless and bruised. They eventually stop and Rosemary becomes captivated by a tree, deciding to paint it.
The wind's been beating that tree down since the day it was born.
That night, Jeanette wakes up in pain from her burns. Rex builds a campfire and explains to her the concept of the boundary between turbulence and order, comparing it to life's unpredictability. He removes her bandages, revealing the severity of her wounds. But Jeanette remembers this moment fondly despite the pain.
There. How's that feel?
In the present, Jeanette lies awake at 5 a.m., unable to sleep. The past doesn't slumber. It waits in the shadows, ready to remind you of what you've escaped. By morning, she dresses in her elegant clothes, a stark contrast to her parents' lifestyle. David tries to cheer her up by surprising her with a new chair, but Jeanette is preoccupied.
You're not wiggling. There you go.
She is meeting her mother for lunch and plans to tell her about her engagement to David. However, she fears Rosemary will react poorly. At a Chinese restaurant, the mother and daughter meet. Rosemary behaves erratically, pocketing sugar packets and looking disheveled. Poverty leaves its mark, even in the smallest gestures. Their conversation is strained, and when Jeanette offers financial help, Rose pridefully refuses.
I have a little bit of money now. I can help you if you want.
Jeanette shows her the engagement ring, but Rose responds with dismissive comments, belittling David. The meeting ends on a sour note.
It's gonna kill him.
The memory shifts again to Jeanette's teenage years. The family is still nomadic, and Rex continues to drink heavily. But years pass without their situation changing.
Now, there's not enough room in the cab.
Today, they visited a swimming pool, and Rex decided to teach Jeanette how to swim. He initially supports her in the water, but suddenly lets her go, forcing her to struggle. Rex's love was a storm. Sometimes it lifted you, sometimes it drowned you. This line hits hard because so many people grew up with parents who loved them the only way they knew how, in bursts of chaos. That kind of love leaves you wondering, was it ever safe to trust it? After pulling her out and throwing her back in, Jeanette accuses him of trying to kill her.
Touch me! You tried to kill me!
Rex insists he was teaching her to face her fears. Their moment escalates when Rex gets into a physical altercation with the pool supervisor, choking him until he surrenders. Back at the house, Rose announces they are leaving for Welch to escape the police that may come to them due to Rex's altercation. She packs their belongings and gathers the children, but Rex refuses to join them to leave. They wait for him in the car and even call out to him. Despite him giving them deaf ears, Jeanette goes in and convinces him to come. He then agreed and carried her on his back to the car.
He's alive.
Oh, thank God.
The family drives off, seemingly united once more. That's the toxic cycle of hope. Even a moment of tenderness can make you forget years of pain for a while. In the present, Jeanette and David are on their way to Rex's place to share their marriage decision. David is nervous and constantly wiping sweat from his forehead and hands.
Yeah, I'm not to be bullied by him.
I know you're not.
I will not be bullied.
Hey,
When they arrive, Rex is initially upset with Jeanette for ignoring him earlier, but she apologizes, and she shifts his focus to David, making all those rude comments. Shortly, Rex invites them into the house and everyone gathers. Brian is now grown up with his signature red hair, and Lori, the quiet one, is also there. Maureen, the youngest, is present as well. While they talk, Rose and Rex corner David and begin to bully him.
You wax or you got alopecia?
Jeanette hasn't even told them about the marriage yet, but it's clear Rex disapproves of her choice. He even goes as far as asking how long David will last in their family. Finally, unable to hold back, Jeanette tells them she is indeed happy, and that should be reason enough for them to respect her decision. Back in her memory, after arriving in Welch, the family is disheartened to see how things have deteriorated. Poverty is rampant, and people are struggling to survive.
Gosh, things have gone downhill a bit.
When they reach Rex's family home, his mother embraces him and her grandchildren. At dinner, the table is crowded, but it's clear their living standards are far from stable. Suddenly, when Brian spits out some food, his grandmother slaps him for his lack of table manners. This upsets Jeanette, but she feels powerless to intervene and defend her brother.
You listen to your daddy, girl.
At midnight, Jeanette wakes up and finds Rex in the living room, drinking and reassessing his design for the glass house he plans to build. Jeanette approaches him and looks at the design with passion, as if she could magically build it right here and now. He promises first thing in the morning he will find a place where they can lay their foundation, and it makes her smile once again.
First thing tomorrow, I'm gonna search this whole town for the...
Shortly after, they move into a rusty house in the countryside, away from Rex's family. For a while, things look up, and the family feels hopeful again. They begin digging the foundation for the glass house and quickly turn the house into a warm home. However, as time passes, with Rosemary frequently getting pregnant, survival becomes a struggle once more. They barely have enough to eat, and Rex, as always, fails to keep his daily promises. One night, Maureen woke up hungry. Jeanette opens the fridge and finds a bit of butter, which she mixes with sugar and gives to the toddler. Brian and Lori also wake up hungry but find nothing to eat. Frustrated, Lori turns and snaps at Rex, saying they are so poor that their toddler is eating butter. If Captain Fantastic was about idealistic rebellion, the Glass Castle shows what happens when the rebellion forgets to feed its children. Rose also came from upstairs and, instead of being ashamed, is angry that the butter is gone. Rex suggests he will go to the store to buy eggs and take money from Rose.
Okay, I'll be back in an hour with the feast.
However, after he leaves, they wait for hours for him to come home. He returns 10 hours later, drunk and empty-handed. Everyone is asleep except Jeanette, who notices his forehead is bleeding and his shoulders are wounded. She asks if she can help, and Rex suggests she stitch his wounds with a needle and thread.
Yeah, that don't look good.
Terrified, Jeanette hesitates, but Rex assures her they can do it together. In that moment, she was no longer his child. She was his caretaker, his confidant, his equal. After stitching him up, Rex thanks her and confesses that sometimes she feels like the only one in the family who still believes in him. He tells her he would do anything for her and that he loves her.
I'd do anything for you, right? Anything.
Jeanette, gathering her courage, asks him to stop drinking and start saving money for food. After the tense exchange, Rex tells her to go to bed and she leaves him. The next morning, he tells Jeanette he will try to quit drinking and begins his detox upstairs. Soon, Rex starts screaming day and night for alcohol, but the family stands firm, knowing it's for his own good. Rose stays with him, but his cries are unbearable.
Rosemary!
On the third night, he pleads with Jeanette for whiskey, claiming he will die without it. When she refuses, reminding him of his promise, he becomes furious.
I don't care about your stupid promise!
After several more days, Rex emerges from his room seemingly recovered. The children rush to embrace him, especially Jeanette, who deeply appreciates his effort. Snow begins to fall, marking the arrival of Christmas. The family decorates the house, and Rose gifts Jeanette an empty notebook to write her stories in.
I couldn't find a good one for you, so you'll just have to write your own.
That night, Jeanette and Rex lie in the snow, counting stars. He then gives her a star, telling her how much he loves her. Back in the present, the family is still gathered in the house. Rose admits she actually likes David, but a drunken Rex gets into an argument with him in the living room.
Created by all you fat cats to make yourselves richer.
Rex, who despises capitalism, lashes out at anyone associated with it. The argument escalates, prompting Jeanette to suggest they leave since David has also been drinking. After much resistance, David accepts the challenge and wins, earning cheers from everyone. But the moment sours when Rex does something unexpected. The altercation ruins the night, leaving David feeling disrespected and furious. At home, he tells Jeanette that if they are going to marry, nights like this cannot happen again. He loves her but refuses to tolerate this level of chaos.
I can't have any more.
Once again, in Jeanette's memory, the family is packing up. This time, Rose's mother has passed away and only the adults are leaving. The children, left behind at their grandparents' house, a place they already dislike, are given strict rules by their cold and unwelcoming grandmother. They stay in their father's childhood room where they find a box filled with poems Rex wrote as a boy. Reading them, the siblings share a rare moment of bonding.
There might be more than this blanket of black dust.
The next day, Jeanette overhears Brian whispering, "No," to their grandmother. Alarmed, she enters the room and finds their grandmother trying to force Brian to remove his pants. Furious, Jeanette screams for Lori, and together they pull Brian away. When Lori tries to de-escalate, their grandmother slaps her, triggering the sisters to fight back.
Nobody messes with our brother!
Their uncle soon intervenes, breaking up the fight. Rex and Rose are called to take their arrogant children away. Enraged, Rex refuses to hear their side of the story or acknowledge what happened to Brian. Disappointed, he drops them off at the run-down house and heads out to drink, breaking his 2-month sobriety. Jeanette begs him to stay, but he pushes her aside and drives off.
See what you do!
The next morning, the children wake up to their parents arguing over Rex's drinking. Losing control, Rex smashes Rose's painting supplies and destroys her canvas. Terrified, Rose runs upstairs, but Rex chases after her. Meanwhile, Jeanette and Lori take Brian and Maureen outside to play. Suddenly, they hear their mother screaming for help. Rushing upstairs, they witness a terrifying scene.
Don't let her fall! What did you do?
They manage to pull Rose back inside as she screams that Rex is trying to kill her. He insists she jumped on her own. As the parents' fight continues, the children watch, traumatized. But then, shockingly, the fight turns into affectionate cuddling, leaving them utterly confused.
You're one hell of a woman.
Later, Rose comes downstairs and begins repairing the broken painting. Jeanette, meeting her mother's gaze, bluntly tells her she needs to leave Rex. After reflecting on how Rex supported her art, Rose confesses she can't leave him. Jeanette walks away, deeply disappointed. That night, as Jeanette writes in her notebook, she glances at the dug-up ground where Rex once promised to build a glass castle. Turning to her siblings, she tells them their family will never change. She suggests they save up and leave when they come of age. They seal their promise with linked pinky fingers.
Getting the heck out of here.
Years later, Jeanette has grown into a mature young woman. She still lives in Welch with her parents, but is working toward a better future. She is a photographer, editor, and aspiring writer. She interviews people, striving to improve her skills. One day, she comes home and tells Lori she has been offered a job as an editor for the local paper. Lori is thrilled, knowing this means Jeanette can finally leave. Lori, too, is leaving that very day, though Rex remains unaware. When her friends arrive to pick her up, she hugs and kisses her siblings goodbye.
Bye. Love you.
Outside, Rex tries to chase after her, but Lori urges the driver to speed away. Back inside, a furious Rex turns on Jeanette, demanding to know if she plans to leave as well. His shouting terrifies even Rose. Jeanette denies it, and Rex storms off, feeling betrayed. Later, as Jeanette takes out the trash, she notices the once dug area for the glass castle has become a dumping ground, a clear symbol of Rex abandoning his dream and hers. Lori settles into college and hopes Jeanette can join her soon. She shares Jeanette's writings with a professor who takes an interest in her work. Jeanette, eager to escape, has saved enough money to leave, but fears Rex won't let her go. One night while on the phone with Lori, she hears glass shattering upstairs and tells her sister to call back later. Rushing up, she finds Rex has broken a window in frustration. He has just received news that their grandmother has died. At the funeral, everyone bids farewell, but Rex seems especially affected. On their way back, Jeanette asks Rose if her grandmother ever did anything to Rex, something like what she did to Brian. But nothing excuses Rex's behavior, his volatile temper, or his failure as a father. In an attempt to comfort him, Jeanette visits him at a bar, but he is too drunk to be consoled.
Ready to lose that 40 bucks?
Spotting a man named Robbie betting on a pool game, Rex encourages Jeanette to dance with him. Though reluctant, she agrees. Later upstairs, Robbie tries to force himself on her, but she slows him down by showing her scar, making him lose interest. Back home, Jeanette breaks down only to discover her piggy bank has been emptied and torn apart. Broken promises were the currency of their family, and Jeanette was tired of being bankrupt. Enraged and heartbroken, she confronts Rex, but his excuses are weak. He then lights a cigarette and ignores her. Some parents choose pride over redemption. Even when their child stands before them, broken out brave, asking for change, they look away. And that silence, it can be louder than a scream. Back in the present, Jeanette, now a successful New York newspaper editor, receives a call from her younger sister Maureen.
I can't make it tonight. Why not?
Maureen reveals she is moving to California and won't be able to attend Jeanette's engagement party. Maureen feels somewhat outcasted from her sisters, mentioning they were never close with her. At the party, the siblings discuss Maureen's move to California. They understand she is trying to distance herself from their parents and are happy for her.
Thank you so much for coming. Who needs more bubbly?
We do.
Suddenly, Rex and Rose arrive unannounced and uninvited. Jeanette is uncomfortable but tries not to disrupt the event.
Congratulations, honey.
After a few drinks, Rex starts chatting with David's father and family. Jeanette pulls him aside to talk privately. In a bedroom, she tells him it's clear he acts like a child whenever someone leaves. Rex fights back, telling her this lifestyle isn't for her, and she should call off the wedding with David. Even though Jeanette insists she likes her life, Rex argues with her.
You were born to change the world, not just add to the noise.
Rose enters the room and asks what they're discussing. Jeanette confronts her, asking why she suddenly likes David now. Amidst the conversation, Rose reveals that she and Rex want Jeanette to give them money to buy land. Her brother sold his half of their mother's land in Texas, and they need about $1 million to buy it back. Jeanette realizes that if her uncle's land is worth that much, Rose's must be too.
How much?
No, let's not get into it.
About $1 million.
Remembering how they starved in the rusty house while their parents sat on a fortune, Jeanette snaps and leaves the room. Rex follows her, but she breaks down and speaks loudly. She tells him they had to take care of themselves and save money because he was too drunk to provide. Finally, she says she doesn't want any of his nonsense anymore and doesn't want to see him unannounced or uninvited ever again.
It was your job to protect us, and you didn't even try.
For the first time, she chose herself over the man who taught her to dream.
I don't want you in my life.
Jeanette, you did
I
not
don't
mean
want
that.
you to call.
The night ends and Jeanette reminisces about her past while sitting on her bed. She remembers leaving Welch and saying an emotional goodbye to Maureen. Her plan was to go to New York and join Lori, but Maureen was left with their incapable parents. Rex tried to convince Jeanette to stay with the old glass castle dream, but she firmly told him she would leave even if she had to hitchhike.
If the bus breaks down, I'm gonna walk.
Unable to stop her, Rex tearfully watched his favorite child leave, leaving him with only the youngest. Back in the present, the now married Jeanette still lingers on her past. She wakes up early preparing for breakfast. David reminds her they have an important dinner with a businessman, and she, distracted, assures him she remembers. After he leaves, the house phone rings. It's Rose, leaving a voicemail. Rex is sick and she wants to talk to Jeanette as soon as possible. On her way to work, Jeanette meets Rose, who explains that after Jeanette confronted Rex at the engagement party, he asked Rose if she thought he talked too much. This stemmed from Jeanette's comment that talking isn't trying. After Rose agreed, Rex stopped speaking entirely and hasn't said a word in a week. At last, silence was Rex's final rebellion, a quiet protest against the world he was never able to conquer. Rose believes he will die if Jeanette doesn't come home to heal his heart and give him a proper goodbye.
You have a right to be angry.
You think I don't know that?
However, deeply heartbroken and unable to heal from the parents she feels unlucky to have, Jeanette replies that she said goodbye a long time ago. She leaves Rose standing there alone. Later, Jeanette meets with her siblings, Brian and Lori, to share what her mother told her about Rex. They too have heard the news and inform her that the doctor told Rex he has a month to live, if he stops drinking and smoking, which he won't.
He doesn't look good. You have to go see him.
They don't feel particularly sad and casually share this information with her. However, they think she should go and see him because at one point, he was a good father to her. This conversation triggers another memory from her college days when she was unable to continue her education due to a lack of money. Her father traveled from Welch to New York and met her at her dormitory. Jeanette was embarrassed to face him, expecting him to say, "I told you so," or something along the lines of her not belonging there. Instead, Rex surprises her with a miracle. He throws all the money he brought onto the bed, along with 100% mink he brought for her to sell. And Jeanette can't believe he did this to help her pursue her dreams.
You did this for me?
Back in the present, Jeanette is in the car with David, heading to a restaurant where they will meet a businessman and his wife. The couple is older, and the wife is a wealthy woman who is a fan of Jeanette. However, Jeanette has been feeling down all day. Once the table is set, she tries to engage in conversation. The conversation soon shifts to her parents, and the woman asks what her father does. David, interrupting, tells them the same lie that he is an inventor. Despite Jeanette's warnings to let her handle the lies about her parents, David insists on portraying her as a privileged girl with a perfect life. Jeanette soon excuses herself to the bathroom, questioning whether this is the right path for her. She flashes back to the night in the desert when she and her father stayed up by the fire. He checked her wound and she told him the burn made her look ugly, like a demon. Rex reassured her, saying, "One day you're going to look back and see that this is just another side of how strong you are. You've got a fire burning in your belly, and this scar is proof of it."
You can borrow it for the night.
After seeing herself in the mirror and comparing the little girl who adored her father to the woman she has become, Jeanette decides this isn't the right way to live. She returns to the dinner table and tells the guests the truth about her parents. David is confused about why she's being so honest, but Jeanette continues, speaking emotionally about how she both hates and loves her father for who he is. She admits that his dreams were often fruitless, but he dreamed bigger than anyone she's ever known. He never tried to be someone he wasn't and never wanted her to be either. Overwhelmed, Jeanette runs out of the restaurant, takes off her heels, and heads straight to her parents' tiny home. She left behind the life she thought she wanted and ran toward the truth she can no longer ignore. Along the way, she remembers all the adventures she shared with her father, how he made her laugh, showed her the world, and always loved her. When she arrives, she finds Rex in bed with Rose by his side. Rose gives them a moment alone, and Rex finally says hello. Jeanette reminds him of the time he let her pet a cheetah at the zoo. They both laugh, and Rex mentions how he now has time to rethink and evaluate his life.
Mom says you haven't been talking lately.
He then hands her all the stories she wrote since the 8th grade, surprising her with how he kept them all these years. Rex feels deeply guilty and struggles to apologize. He admits he was an average father at best and has many regrets. This scene feels like the finale of True Detective, where Harrelson's character finally admits, "I no longer know who I am." Only in The Glass Castle, he says it to his daughter, and that hurts even more. The moment is emotional, and he cries, telling Jeanette she is strong, unlike him, who is fearful and unable to face the world. However, he also reminisces about the great times they shared and how he loved every moment spent with her.
Got a lot to regret about my life.
He apologizes for not building the glass castle he promised, but Jeanette assures him they at least had a great time planning it. She finally forgives him, showing him the deep love and respect she holds for him in his final days. Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting, it was about letting go of the weight she'd carried for too long. A few months pass and we see Jeanette now fully forgiving and partially healed in her new house. She is cooking for Thanksgiving and seems to have ended her relationship with her wealthy husband David. She is now a freelance writer, independent and content. Soon, Lori, Brian, Maureen, and even her mother Rose arrive.
Hey, Maureen.
Jeanette invites them in, and Rose gifts Jeanette a painting of Rex. While dining, the family shares stories about him. They talk about how Rex gave each of them a star as a gift, and they reminisce about their personal moments with him. Jeanette becomes emotional, but also feels a deep sense of happiness. The film ends with this emotional scene, showing a family that was once miserable, now forgiving, loving, and leaving the past behind.
People like my flowers better than they did in New York. That story about how he gave her a star, what a difference between lives.